Hey,
What's up, Carl?
how's it going?
Yo, it's going, man.
Right on. Let me turn you up a little bit.
Yeah, like you just went diving.
Yeah. Just got out of the water.
Got to what? Oh, what?
This.
It's still. Is that the
Oh yeah.
mountains are still snow capped?
Oh yeah. It snowed yesterday. Yeah.
It snowed yet.
Yeah, we got about I think a foot around the lake, depending on where you were over the past week. We had another little cold patch. Yeah.
I mean, I've gone diving with Carl. He is a bad fucker. But before we go into it real quick, the first three things that I hear from anyone that's thinking about diving in Lake Tahoe is like it's extreme, it's cold. Do you even dive there? Is it? Well, hey, Carl, do you want to just introduce yourself real quick?
Yeah, my name's Carl Fendelander. I'm a diver. I live in Reno, but I'm up at the lake pretty much every weekend. I love diving the lake here. It is a little cold occasionally, this time of year for sure. Today, the low was 41. I think the high was 43. So, good stuff. But it was 27 outside when I got in the water, which is really perfect for putting on your dry suit.
Wow.
I'm also the project manager for Project Baseline at Lake Tahoe. And we're hoping to kind of reboot our little citizen science stations this year.
Project Baseline at Lake Tahoe. What is that about?
Yeah, Project Baseline is actually an international nonprofit that the idea behind it is that we need to track how our underwater environments are changing over time, as obviously things change around us, both from human impact in terms of water runoff and climate generally. So it started with the idea of establishing a baseline for these places around the world. And I think it actually started in Tahoe because they were talking to some local politicians about how they used to dive and see 100-foot, 120-foot visibility, and now it was down to like 70. And the politicians said, I don't believe you. Show me proof. And they went, well, I don't have proof from the 70s. So they said, all right, we're going to start collecting proof. And so I took over in last summer for Project Baseline here at the lake.
Which is still, I mean, 70 feet is still pretty decent visibility.
Yeah. Today it was closer to 30, but
Oh,
yeah, I've had 70.
and guys, Carl is literally he went diving and he just came out of water. And we're going to get into that in a second. When you go diving for 2 hours. His side mounted, he's an exceptional, very awesome diver. But real quick, the another question people ask me is, what do you see in the lake? Like it's a lake. What do you see? I've seen your videos. I kind of what you see. No, not from your perspective. But I see. Thank you for sharing that. But I've seen something
Of course.
in the lake.
So today was a lot of sand, and then I went to a spot that has a lot of golf balls. So those start at like 140 feet. And so I just kind of cruised around there. Today was a little bit of a shorter dive for me. It was about an hour and 10, just because I did incur a good amount of deco. And, wanted to be here with you as well. So this is one of the least interesting spots in the lake, except for the golf balls. The beautiful stuff that you see in the lake, we've got amazing granite that just drops vertically down hundreds of feet in some places and further in others. And when things warm up, the fish start to come out and hang out around these granite cliffs. We get these schools of Lahontan red-side shiners, which is our lake minnow. They're, about but there are thousands of them. the schools stretch for 150 feet. They fill up small coves. And then as you go deeper, you get trout. You get trout coming in and out to hunt. You get brown trout, Mackinaw trout. If you're lucky, you'll see some Lahontan cutthroat trout, um, rainbow trout. They're pretty curious. We've got little Paiute sculpin. They're about this big, and they hide in the rocks, and they look almost like a fish version of a horny toad a little bit. So you see, there are beautiful things to see in the lake. We've got a couple wrecks in Emerald Bay as well. Oh, and one super deep wreck if you're going to do a 500-foot dive at elevation.
So this, and I gotta say, thank you for taking the time to, like, cut your dive short to talk to the talk to everybody, share the information. It is great. Like, you're awesome, man. It's really, I really appreciate the time you've taken out to do this. How did you get started? Like, why are you diving in Lake Tahoe? It is freaking cold. Jacques Cousteau left the place and never came back. I know you dive other places in the world, but you're like,
yeah.
home base. So why do you do this?
Well, I mean, the short answer is that this is the most beautiful spot within like a hour and a half drive for me. So that's why I'm in the lake all the time. We've got plenty of other lakes, but there's really something special about Lake Tahoe. I do enjoy warm water diving. It's a lot different than, the thickest undergarment that you can buy, plus fleece vests and base layers and all that kind of stuff, and freezing fingers and such.
Oh my!
But yeah, there's something special about Lake Tahoe for sure.
You humbled me. Like, when I came to dive with you over Thanksgiving, just the altitude. Well, we'll talk about altitude diving in a second, but I was winded the whole time. Like, it just knocked the wind out of me. And you were just doing like,
yeah.
I got 2 times. It was like, I'm like, why are you so active? But which brings us back to altitude diving. Like, did you start diving in Lake Tahoe? And obviously, you went from starting diving to you're diving. You're technical diving right now, actually, right?
Yeah, I am definitely. I incurred about half an hour of deco today.
Okay.
So yeah,
And this was,
but yeah, I got started.
just so you know.
Sorry.
I'm just telling everybody this was your short dive. It was like an hour.
Oh yeah. hour and 10. Yeah.
Hour and 10.
So yeah, I actually got started in late 2018. We were going to Playa del Carmen for a friend's wedding, and there was supposed to be a scuba diving boat. And so I went down to Monterey while the bachelorette party was happening at my house because I had to get out of there. So went down to Monterey, got certified. It was November, so the water was pretty cool. We were diving wet, but I just kind of got hooked. We swam through the kelp forest. Didn't see anything crazy. It was the open water class, but when we went down to Playa del Carmen, we went diving a few times, both off Playa del Carmen and off Cozumel, and oh my God, I mean, how can you not be hooked at that point? You've got 80, 100-foot visibility. You've got stingrays and
18. I was in Cozumel in November at the same time, actually.
Oh, nice. We were there a month later. We spent New Year's in Tulum. Actually, we spent New Year's in Tulum, which was amazing. Like, we were on top of this at this bar that was on top of above everything else, dancing with our own little private DJ, and it had like a tin roof, and then the sky opened up, and it was just pouring all around us as the new year came in. Oh, it was gorgeous. I love that area. I can't wait to go back.
Did you see the bull shark in Playa del Carmen? No,
we not the right time of year.
Now, you went diving in warm water, wet diving. Then you come back home to Reno, and you're like, you know what? I love diving so much. I'm gonna go diving in this cold water. What did that go into, like, dry suit, right? You got to go in. which dry suit is hard. It's not hard. It just needs getting used to, because
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
probably the number one thing for dry suit. So how did that? How did you transition into that?
Well, I had a semi-dry that I bought. I got my advanced open water in the lake, so I kind of got a nice introduction to diving in the lake in July, which is the warmest time of year. And then it just got colder and colder, and I kept coming back, and it got colder, and then it hit like 50 degrees, and that was when my wetsuit was completely insufficient. So I if I wanted to keep diving, I had to buy a dry suit. So I did. I ordered one from Seaskin, and that took 16 weeks. But as soon as it came, I jumped right in the water and I had read about dry suit certification classes and what it takes. So I went in to a spot I was familiar with and just did a bunch of somersaults and, filled it up and dumped it and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, taught myself how to get into the dry suit and gradually, did a bunch of, I was diving doubles at the time. So I did a bunch of drills, valve drills and such like that, just getting familiar with all the equipment until I felt comfortable enough to start going exploring around the lake, which is now one of my favorite things to do is hop in my canoe and take myself all around.
And explore place. And you just mentioned July is the warmest month, so I just made a note of that to go in. It is
Yeah.
cold, but you taught me a couple really nice tricks about just cold diving. Like put your face in the water, breathe a couple times before you put. It's just stuff I can't learn in California. I just can't. It's not cold. It's cold, but it's not cold enough.
Yeah.
It really
right.
In Lake Tahoe's in California, but in Southern California, I guess is what it. So doubles, that's a whole specialty. Dry suit, that's a whole specialty. Takes a lot of cojones to go from Cozumel, the Yucatan, to I'm just gonna be the king of Lake Tahoe, which because divetahoe.com, everything you need to know about Lake Tahoe or scuba diving in Lake Tahoe and more. Divelaketahoe.com, and that's honestly that was the only thing I saw. I know a couple other. I know another group that was that is going to Antarctica, sort of around the same time I was supposed to go. Then it got canceled. Then we're going later together next year.
Nice.
California, Lake Tahoe is one of the closest places, and then you get the extra bonus of altitude diving, and then you get winded and get the wind knocked out of you. And I was huffing. You were just like, yeah, I've got 3 tanks on my back. Yeah, let's go. I was like, what is wrong with it? People think it's extreme. I think it is. Because you can go from, where did we dive the other time? Speedboat Beach? Speedboat?
Yeah, we were at Speedboat Beach. Yeah.
Which is like a shallow incline for, I don't know, 100, 200 feet. Then it just drops.
Yeah, right around
the Empire
State Line Point. As you get there, it just, yeah.
Meanwhile, which is a good thing. You can go from Nevada to California, and back and
Yep.
I thought I was trippy. There's a big myth about Jacques Cousteau, and he found something in Lake Tahoe, and he was freaked out, and he never went back. Those are still pretty much invented scuba diving. Is that true?
I have not seen the bodies. In Crystal Bay, I have a feeling, the depth charts have been around for a long time. And if you're organized crime, you're organized, right? So you've probably got the depth chart. You're not going to go dump a body in 20 feet of water. So you want to go out to the spots where it's 1,000+ feet deep. That's what I would think. And of course, that's a bit deeper than we're going, right? So if they're around, and Jacques Cousteau did have a submarine, but if they're around, I have not seen the bodies. Thank goodness. Yeah, there is a spot, Rubicon Wall, down in the DL Bliss area, and that's a very popular, quintessential Tahoe wall dive. Just amazing. You can do it from shore, parking in Callowheat Cove and just a little swim out and beautiful fish and all that. In that area, some divers did discover a guy who had gone missing in the 90s, a scuba diver who had gone missing in the 90s, and they found him, I think at 140 feet or something like that. Yeah. So,
Wow.
yeah, I guess there might be another person down there if I remember correctly, but I have, thank goodness, again, not run into any dead bodies. Some of the trees down here are really spooky looking, like the branches come out of the dark and all that. And that's kind of spooky, but that's the spookiest I've gotten. So.
It's one of the deepest lakes in North America, in the world, actually. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the chances are pretty there. Okay. Okay. Let me try to get that off. Now, would you say you need to be at least advanced to dive Lake Tahoe, or
I
is there room for like someone just start? You know what? As a diver, open, newbie or tech diver, I want to go dive Lake Tahoe. What are the top three things I should know? Where to get my tank, what the profile looks like, what I'm gonna do, all that kind of stuff.
well, let's see. Well, where you get your tank can be a number of different places. There's Tahoe Dive Center. They're on the south end of the lake. They are the only real local dive shop. But then there's Just So Scuba. They run a boat out of, I think they start in the Tahoe Keys. Yeah. They pick you up in the Tahoe Keys, and they're fantastic. They take you right along DL Bliss. They've got their own compressors and tanks and everything. And I think they're the only dive charter boat at the lake. But they'll do tech, they'll do beginner and all that. In terms of dive profiles, I mean, it's all over the place. You can absolutely take a rank beginner. Like where we went, Speedboat Beach,
Right.
if you don't go to the east, if you go to the west, the rocks are beautiful. It's the same kind of like cool, like lava lamp looking stuff that we saw, but you never get deeper than 25 feet. And you can go for 1,000 feet, like in any direction, and you're not going to get deeper than 25 feet there. There are other spots where, like one of my favorite spots that I found this past summer, I call it Deep Shack because there's a little shack on shore and it gets deep. There's a boat moored 60 feet offshore
Yeah.
in 150 feet of water. So
Got deep.
it's just, poof, it could just, um, yeah. So at that spot, there's almost no surface swim. You just kind of get into the water and scoot off the rocks, and
You just head down.
your profile, yeah. And those profiles are nice because you can just drop straight down and then work your way back up over the course of the dive. So, and everything in between. There are some spots where you can get down to 120, but you'd have to work really hard to get past that. So it's got something for everybody. What I would suggest in terms of certifications, make sure you understand altitude diving. The PADI altitude certification for me was a good start. I did a bunch more research. The short answer is you can trust your computer, but you should learn why, as with anything in scuba. So it's important to understand altitude diving just so you don't do anything dumb. If you're acclimated like I am, once I get here, I'm only off-gassing a little bit. Once I get up to elevation, it's about 1,500 feet higher than where I live. Whereas with you, if you came straight up from sea level, you'd be essentially starting at a relatively, not a high, but a medium pressure group already. So that's if you came straight from sea level. So there are little considerations to be had for altitude diving. Other than that, you can absolutely dive the lake wet in the summer. So you don't need dry suit. You don't really, come with a buddy. My site, divelaketahoe.com, the big reason that I built it was because there wasn't easy access to information about dive sites around the lake. So I put it all on there. I'm always exploring new sites and adding them. And I've got it rated for beginner through advanced with the sites on there. So go check it out and then come dive the lake. Like, you don't have to go with anybody. You just, bring a buddy, but, yeah.
Seriously, dive
We've got everything.
like everything you need to know about Lake Tahoe that you couldn't ask. It's got everything, all the dive sites, like conditions, what you see, what to expect, what time of the depending on what time of the year. That it's amazing. Like, you hit the nail on the head. Like
And if you're a golfer, I put where you can find these. So, you know.
that's a gem. That's also where to park. Like you have information about where to park. It's
Oh yeah, because that's complicated, right?
yeah.
At the lake.
And it's like, on this dive site, you could be diving in California, and this dive site could be in Nevada. On this dive site, you could be on the moon. Diving Speedboat Beach felt like being on the moon. The rock formation, it was crazy. It was crazy. But
Oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
thanks for sharing that. So you're still at which dive site are you right now? What
I'm at Incline Beach.
Incline Beach. So that's right. Is it
Sorry, one more time.
is it right on the border of Nevada and
Uh, it's close. It is definitely in Nevada. I don't know how many miles to California. It's over there. But yeah, it's not quite right on the border, but close. It's North Lake for sure.
okay. And yeah, that's where you know you're doing cool stuff. You're like, yeah, California's like right over there somewhere. Whatever. Let's see if we have any questions from anyone. Those are the three major questions. We've Carl, you've answered most of them. You've answered all of them actually. Let's just go to the
Nice.
list, see if we see anything. Hello, Deepak. Are you still diving today? Are you going back in the water?
No, no. I usually do. I breathe my tanks down pretty good because I went down to 160 and started collecting golf balls. Worked my way up to 140. Continued collecting golf balls. So I think I probably got about 70. So yeah, I breathe down my tanks pretty good.
Nice. And did the wildfires around Tahoe affect the visibility? Did it? So,
Oh yeah,
oh yeah.
yeah, dramatically. So what happened was the smoke came in and deposited a lot of nutrients up high, which created a shallow water algae bloom, which we usually the more native species are like a deep water algae. So what happened with the shallow water algae bloom is that it blocked out a lot of that sunlight, and the lake actually got colder sooner. Last year, it warmed back up again for a minute, but when the smoke was really thick, it was 4 degrees colder 2 weeks apart in the middle of, in the fall, so, which is not something normal. And then, yes, it turned green fairly well. It doesn't always turn green at all. And it did turn green in the fall, just with all those nutrients that came in. It's not the smoke itself that blocks the light, prevented some of the natural plants from growing down deep, which may very well have affected fish populations. It's hard to know at this point. But yeah, the smoke did throw the ecosystem here for a loop.
Yeah, it's the domino effect. Next question. How cold is the water there? How cold?
Uh, it gets down to 39. And as I understand it, that is as cold as it gets. Yeah. So like in the depth of winter, actually more like the end of winter, you get down to 39, and it's 39 when you get in at the surface, and it's 39 at 100 feet, and it's 39 at 150 feet, and it's 39 the whole time.
Oh, wow.
So that is, yeah, yep. Which, I took a little while last year getting my winter setup dialed in. So you get used to it.
Yeah. I finally got my BZ, what's it called? Santee BZ, and yeah, I don't remember.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It is.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
there it is.
No, it wasn't Argent. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. It was that day we dove. It was actually colder outside than in the water.
Mm-hmm.
It's not.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, maybe I'll dive Lake Tahoe this summer. Absolutely. If you're diving Lake Tahoe, at dive Lake Tahoe at dive Lake Tahoe on Instagram or divelaketahoe.com. Check it out. Carl's got all the information for you. Anything you want. It's foolproof. LOL, dive diary. Let's see. Do we have anything else? Just got my dry suit. Finally can dive year round in Tahoe. Absolutely.
Woo.
Need your undergarments and you'd be right.
So I think I saw somebody ask about cave systems at the lake.
Okay.
Unfortunately, no. Kind of the nature of granite, the water can't really penetrate it to really get in there. There are plenty of swim throughs. You can find those all over the place because the blocks kind of fall onto each other, and just the way the granite boulders have come down on the slopes and stuff like that. All sorts of swim throughs, but unfortunately, yeah, we don't have any caves. There are some spots that you could kind of call caverns if you really wanted to stretch the definition because of the way that they kind of go into the rock. But yeah, unfortunately,
It's
yeah,
shallow,
no caves.
really deep. Basically, it's shallow than
Yeah, exactly.
like really deep. Like you really buoyancy control is like a must. And also, well, first of all, getting used to the altitude. Like I had been
Yeah,
a couple of days, and even after a couple of days, I was still winded for the most part. So if you're not used to it, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. It'll win out of you. Um,
absolutely.
what is Jimmy Huffer? Who's
Jimmy Hoffa is a mobster who completely disappeared and nobody's ever found his body.
oh
And so some people think he's in Lake Tahoe.
I guess that's just for another day. We'll save that.
Yeah.
I was
Was he a mobster or was he a union guy? I can't remember. Somewhere in there.
yeah,
There's a movie called Hoffa. Saw it when I was a kid.
I always find cameras, iPhones, and sunglasses diving in Tahoe, Apple Watches also. Well, you've got almost 100 golf balls just today. There we go.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
I found some. Actually, here's a tip. Here's a tip for everybody who has a camera and everybody who has a drone, because I found both and I want to return them, but nobody ever takes a picture of like their address. And that's all you have to do. Like, just take a picture of it, because I go through your pictures. I'm creepy. Because I look what's on the disc, and I'm like,
yeah.
I want to find this person. I found a camera that had been underwater for 6 years, and I was able to get the memory card out, and I looked at it, and of course the last pictures were them in a kayak, and then it was like bloop. But I found it 100 feet down. I got the memory card out. They had run like the Leadville 100, the ultra marathon. And I know I've got some friends who are ultra marathoners, so I'm like, hey, pass these pictures around, see if you can find them. And we didn't find them, but that's would have been such a cool thing, right? Like, to get them all their pictures back, especially with drones. I've got a beautiful video of Hurricane Bay, which is on the West Shore, where this drone is sweeping across this snowy landscape, and then presumably ran out of batteries because I found it underwater. Yeah.
That's happened before. And so the lesson here is, when you have a drone, a camera, a GoPro, whatever, make sure the very first footage in your drone, on your card, is either a video of your address or a video of yourself just saying, hey, XYZ, this is how you can reach me.
Exactly. Yeah. Any kind of contact information, so that the nice divers can get it back to you.
Yeah. Nice divers like him. Here's a good guy. Highly recommend diving the lake. The landscape above and below the surface is breathtaking. It felt like the moon. And that was
100%.
Carl's the local chief of the lake. I just experienced like a fraction percentage of one of it. And I'm like, wow, this is amazing. So,
yeah, you gotta come back when it's warm so we can do some wall dives, some like real wall dives. It's amazing.
Absolutely. You already mentioned July is the warmest month. So yeah, we'll shoot for that. Are there any caves? You answered that already. Let's see, any other questions real quick? I know you just got out. You probably want to decompress and chill. Greetings from Dubai. Well, greetings from California. Uh, uh, and the last thing I have to, okay, that's such a pro tip. Absolutely. Carl's got you, man. Anything you want, got everything all covered. Diving Lake Tahoe, I don't know. I'm looking at you setting up and putting things in. I'm like, why do you do this? This is so much work. Knowing that you've gone diving in other places that are like warm and easy, I'm like, this is so much work.
It's and so much gear, and you weigh so much, so you're just like, yeah.
Oh yeah,
It's very different.
It took me a while to dial in the buoyancy compensation for the undergarments that are typically highly buoyant. Um, Thank you for sharing that, Carl, because we have Diver Diaries running to my GoPro now to take a photo of my address. How much does a dive cost at Tahoe? I'll let you answer that.
I mean, personally, I would say it costs as much as an air fill or renting your tank or gear, because I'm sort of a go-do-it-yourselfer. I have heard some dive shops charging over $200 for 2 shore dives. Yeah, I, to be perfectly honest, I've only ever paid for dives at the lake during my advanced class. So I recommend.
Mhm.
I recommend coming out and trying some of the beginner spots yourself. Like, you certainly don't need to pay anybody to take you to Sand Harbor.
Yeah.
Let's say that, and they will take you there. And it's like Divers Cove. You'd really have to work hard to get in trouble in Divers Cove. The rocks are beautiful. We've got a Project Baseline station you can check out there.
At Project Baseline, Lake Tahoe. What's the actual?
Yeah, at Project Baseline Lake Tahoe.
Awesome. Yeah. Which is great because you
I highly recommend. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I mean you do have all of your gear, so yeah, it's. I'm just gonna say it's not an okay. Some dive sites can be easy, but just with the altitude, it's not an easy dive. You gotta work your way into it, but you also want to talk to folks like Carl or anyone that's really local and knows what they're doing. Honestly, DiveLakeTahoe.com is the first resource when you want to go diving in Lake Tahoe. Then reach out and work your way up from there. So, you answered the question right. Depends. You can pay for stuff, or you can do the extra work to make it work.
If you're gonna pay, I would check out Just So Scuba, because they're in the right location and they're amazing people. They've been diving the lake since the 1970s, so they've got secret spots. And they go out right along DL Bliss Underwater Park, which has 14 dive sites in it, with names like the Deep End and Two Tree Drop Off, and things like that. So you're getting like a boom kind of granite. It's really cool.
And it's literally boom. Like,
yeah.
I was looking at dive profiles you have on your website, and yeah, it's literally like that. So,
oh yeah,
that's great because Diver Diaries. Like, thanks for all the awesome info. I was literally just looking at diving in Tahoe. So this is great timing. So perfect. Thank you. I don't want to take any more of your time. You've been so awesome, Carl. I'm coming back. You're gonna teach me some more lake diving, pool diving tips, and we'll go from there. Thank you so much.
Great. Thanks so much for having me, and hopefully I'll see you soon, Ed.
Absolutely, Carl. Thank you.
Take care. Bye.